Welcome to the Shmuel Tennenhaus Podcast. My name is Shmuel Tennenhaus. This is my podcast. Thank you so much for being here. And I also want to thank our generous sponsor for this week's podcast. I don't have notes for this sponsor just because it was so last minute. It was remnant space, but I gave it to them at the end for a hefty price, of course. Here goes. Does money mean absolutely nothing to you? Have you completely given up on any form of financial budgeting? Or do you happen to be the offspring of a billionaire or potentially a billionaire yourself? Let me tell you about Instacart. You can order stuff from Instacart. Somebody will actually go to the pharmacy and pick just cotton balls for you. And the markup is just 200 to 300%, which of course is necessary because one, there's inflation. Two, the driver has to get paid. And three, Instacart needs to make a lot of money. So if you're terrified of going outside just to buy a random item, and you have a tree in your backyard that is printing money, Instacart is an absolute solution for you. Now, if you're a wife and your husband hates when you shop Instacart because he's aware of this 300 to 400% markup, don't worry. Instacart has a new product where you'll shop with them and it'll show up on your bill as just Walmart or Costco. So your husband actually thinks you're responsible, but really you're getting the goods much more expensive, but they will come directly to your door, even just one item. Go to instacart.com/the Shmuel Tennenhaus Podcast to get a surprise discount. I don't even know what the discount is. That's how big of a surprise it is. So today I want to tackle some very important issues that I think nobody's talking about, or at least nobody that I know is talking about. And even if they are talking about it, nobody's talking about it in the same way. Now, even if they are talking about it in the same way, I'm just not aware of it. And I'm ignorant in bliss to that fact. So that's why I can have my own platform where I can talk about these things. By the way, for people who are just tuning into my podcast, it is a comedy podcast. Nothing I say here, except for the sponsorships, of course, is meant to be serious. It's all good humor, good jest, including the political jokes. I take aim at all sides, and most of my jokes, or a lot of them, are targeted towards the Jewish community because I live in there and I'm very familiar with all the pain points. So that's where a lot of my humor is based on. But that's my only agenda, having a good time and giving people laughs. I do want to add another sector to my podcast. Not this week, though. It'll be focused around mental health because mental health is important. Every person is mental, partially, and everybody cares about their health. And so you put those two together, you have mental health, and it becomes an extremely important topic. But today, due to my own mental health stuff, I didn't prepare anything to say about mental health. But in the future, we'll have guests, and we'll talk about different things as they relate and pertain to mental health. Okay, first thing we'll talk about, this should be a crime punishable for maybe 10 to 15 years in prison. Here's what I mean. You call somebody on the phone, they answer the phone, but they happen to be in a physical setting talking to somebody else. So they answer the phone, but they continue talking to that person. So basically all they did was pick up the phone just so you can hear that they're having another conversation. It would be much better if they just did not pick up the phone to begin with, unless your goal is to show me that your vocal cords are working and you're still an ass for doing that. Because it's the same people I call them, even if there's nobody there in the room, they pretend somebody's in the room and they talk to the person for another 2 or 3 minutes. I don't even understand what they're thinking other than, like I said, maybe there was a concern that the person you're calling thinks that you think that they have laryngitis and now they need a verbal confirmation, just hearing you. Just you hearing them that they don't have it. But I say this is a crime I would think punishable 10 to 15 years in a white collar person, I'm not saying anything egregious. Now, if it's just 1 second, I'll call you back, that's fine. I'm talking about people who will literally just carry on, they'll answer their phone, they want to show you that they're busy and they have a lot going on, and they're kind of just slotting you into whatever is going on in their life. My phone carrier is Mint. And Ryan Reynolds is a big part of that, as is the super cheap cost to having it every single month. And I have this great feature that when I get a spam call, it shows up on my phone as potential spam, which I don't understand what that means. What does potential spam mean? Why not just say spam? Potential spam sounds like there are a couple people working in a call center and really trying to make a couple of hundred dials per day. And there are judges there and they're saying, that's potential spam. Potential not spam, you don't sound spammy enough. And then the caller will be like, hey, can I qualify for spam? And they'll be like, no, we see the potential, but I don't really think it's complete spam yet. So again, I don't know why it is. Maybe they don't want to hurt the feelings of the people that are calling that it says potential spam, but I've yet to pick up a call and it said potential spam and it wasn't complete spam. Again, I think really what this boils down to is political correctness. Spammers are, a group of people. And to be politically correct, you cannot call them spammers. It's potential spam. I mean, the potential is there, but they're not outright identified or pronoun-wise as a spammer. I want to talk to all the husbands out there. First of all, good luck. And you've been doing great. Amazing job. I see you. And I want to give you a little affirmation to either say or write before you go to bed at night. It goes like this. I am not a shithead. Say it over a couple of times. Try to feel that, experience that into your body. Now, for the wives watching this who are yelling, yes, yes, he is a shithead, I would say, first of all, I don't know the details of the relationship. Second of all, maybe he's not completely a shithead, 80% shithead, 90% potential shithead. So for husbands, again, you can do this. I find it most effective before I go to bed in a notebook, write it down 1,000 or 2,000 times, or upon waking up in the morning, have a little pen and paper there and just go through that as well. Now, this is, again, within politics, people tend to over-exaggerate and they yell fire in a crowded theater, and people tend to, I think, exaggerate and go crazy when nothing really happens. Once in a while, though, there are some things that should raise eyebrows, and therefore I'm calling it out, both for the Jewish community and also for the non-Jewish community, either people looking to convert or are interested, or for people who are just want to know what's going on in society and culture. So what's raising eyebrows to me is Mayor of New York, Mayor Mamdani, is now issued a book tax for anybody reading a book. It's a way to raise funds for the city. I think it's 11% or 30%, 13%, depending on the genre of the book. If it's nonfiction, it's much lower. If it's a fiction, it's kind of a luxury. I think it could be even close to 20%. I would say this book tax, I think, is a crazy concept because, one, it discourages people from reading. If you're a kid and you're dyslexic and now you have to read plus pay a tax, you're not going to really do it. And I get that city needs to be maintained, garbage collection needs to happen, but I think you can tax other things than people just reading. The second thing is where it's, I think, pretty scary for the Jewish community is we're known as people of the book for whatever reason. And I don't know why that is. And so now that there's a tax on books, it does look like Jews are being a little bit, discreetly targeted for doing any sort of reading. Another thing which I don't know why people are not addressing this is Mamdani now in the state of New York is requiring anybody who has a double stroller to register in a database. It's a double stroller database. And obviously that is clearly targeting the Jewish community in New York because, let's face it, 95 or 98% of the people who own a double stroller happen to be Orthodox Jews. And I don't understand what you gain from a database. It seems like just you need to know, and there's maybe warranties. But again, I think that's starting to encroach on civil rights. And I'm hoping that other big podcasters pick up on the things that I was talking about. As a Florida resident, I am very much looking forward to somebody running for governor here in the state and passing a law which would be effectively a no carry law. Right now, Florida is a mandatory carry law. You have to carry a gun if you live here. If you live here for more than 20 years, 2 guns. It gets clunky carrying it around. It's hard, let's say, to play pickleball with it. I'm trying to do Pilates and I have a gun in my pocket. It's very hard, particularly if the gun is loaded. So I don't know exactly which platform is going to seize on this, the Democrats, the Republicans, but the Florida no carry law is coming soon to the Sunshine State. And if you were never a fan of guns to begin with, I think this is a law you ought to vote for to pass. I want to talk about a brilliant concept that opened next to my house. It is called the Bedtime Bar or the Bedtime Bar Club. What it is it's only open between the hours of about 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., say typical bedtime hours. And what happens is, this is, you bathe the kids, you get them into pajamas, you brush your teeth. And then you have a babysitter come to your house for about 45 minutes. The Bedtime Bar will dispatch a driver and a vehicle to your house. They will pick you up, drive you to the Bedtime Bar. Inside, you will meet other parents going through the same process of bedtime. Then they will serve you lots of alcoholic beverages, a lot of them 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots. The goal is to make bedtime go a little smoother, both for you and for the kids. Obviously, lots of safety involved. They're bonded, licensed, and insured. The driver then drives you back home when you're done. You have about 15 minutes there because you have to be a responsible parent. And if you're stumbling by the time you came home, the driver will actually exit the car, walk you into the house, and then you can proceed with trying to read them a bedtime story if you don't fall asleep in the middle, or if you're still even coherent enough to reach them. But the point is it takes down that bedtime angst from about a 10 down to a 4 or a 3. And again, it's all safe. They have one in my neighborhood now. I've been to a bunch of times, and there's a couple opening up. I saw one open up in Coconut Grove, and somebody told me they have one coming to North Miami. I don't have the budget yet for it, but I'm very excited that Whole Foods has released and launched a odor-free asparagus. So you basically, it's about double the price, but I understand because all the experimentation I went at, and your pee does not smell from the asparagus. It's crazy, just like seedless watermelon. Now they have odorless asparagus. Now the asparagus has an odor. It just, again, once you eat it and digest in your system, if that's important for you, you can now get it. I was saying that for years that somebody should do it. Check your local Whole Foods. It seems like as soon as they go onto the shelf, like people buy them out. People are very particular about that. So as you know, my name is Shmuel. It's a challenging name to pronounce. Usually takes people, an hour or two just to even figure out how to get the first syllable out of their mouth. Then I say, it's English for Samuel. They say, oh, Samuel. Okay, that's what Shmuel is. So It takes a while, then I throw them the Samuel bone at the end, and everything kind of works out. I've always rued the fact that it's an obscure name, not Samuel, but Shmuel, and people can't pronounce it. And there's no real strong pop culture reference until the other day, I told a woman checking security at the airport that my name is Shmuel. And she recognized my name from pop culture, the boy in the striped pajamas, which is, as you know, or if you don't know, a Holocaust movie about a kid named Shmuel who's in the Holocaust. So I thought I was excited that my name was referenced in pop culture, but it turns out it's just a kid who's going through the Holocaust named Shmuel in striped pajamas. Now, I'm not sure if I'm excited with that reference. It would have been nice to have something a little happier or aspirational. Now, a cautionary tale for parents. So we were talking before about the Bedtime Bar that opened up here. Like I said, there's one in Coconut Grove. And so today we're going to talk about the cautions of melatonin withdrawal. So as you know, melatonin is a miracle drug created by God to help your kid fall asleep at night. Very quickly, just depending on how early you start giving it to them, like when you pick them up from camp and you start microdosing into what they're having. I am not saying to do it or not to do it. You need to talk to your doctor, actually your pediatrician, because that's the one seeing your child. Now, I will say that you have to be very, very, very careful when you're giving children melatonin because these things, like SSRIs, are nearly impossible to wean yourself off of. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about a family that was giving their kids melatonin for a couple of weeks, letting it ride. Bedtime was smooth. There was no fighting. There was no angst. Kids went to bed. Kids fell asleep before they were even in their rooms. The parents had to scoop them up, put them in the beds, getting a good 11, 12 hours, just depending on the dose. Now, what happened was they figured, wait a second, this is too good to be true. Maybe this is unhealthy. So they completely went cold turkey off the melatonin. And now what's happening is, for the last 2 years, their children have not slept. 2 kids, one is, I think, 7 and one is 4. Now they're older, but they haven't slept for 2 years. At night, the parents give them crayons, markers, they lock the doors to the house. But the kids have not slept a wink. They don't even nap during the day. So I'm just saying, if you're doing this, maybe don't wean them off cold turkey, or maybe have a conversation with your spouse before you go down this whole melatonin victory dance celebration that you have going on there. Unfortunately, in the area that I live in, a great kosher bakery opened up. The unfortunate part is I saw a guy in a parking lot, the synagogue parking lot, telling somebody else about this fantastic bakery. And that's so unfortunate because when something good opens, you want to keep it close to your chest. Otherwise, everybody is going to find out about it. And it's going to turn into Kmart or Sears. That's what happened. Great American institutions, people found out about it, started telling other people, and now who goes to Macy's anymore? So what I think this bakery ought to do is, one, they ought to have a sign that says, not sharing is caring, because we don't want too many people here. It's going to kill the vibe. The second thing is I think that every time somebody buys a babka there, it should be required to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, that they're not telling anybody where they went, not posting it on social, and everything like that. I literally went in there, the place was popping. The lines was like, there were just lines of people, Jewish people even, waiting in line patiently. Who ever heard of something like that? That's how good the babka is there. Talking about President Trump, I love what he's doing with the Trump bank accounts. My kids can really use it. I can really use the money in my kids' account. What I'm uncomfortable with is the full-size poster that Trump is requiring that kids now hang up on the wall of their rooms if they get the Trump account. I also noticed that in my kids' Trump account now, they have all these offers, kind of like the credit cards. So you get like 5% cash back on Trump steaks, 15%, credit if you do Trump University. And so I think it's a good thing, but I think there's a little too much pushing and making Trump front and center there. So if we can just pull back a little bit on the personal branding and let's stick to the mission, I think this is a great initiative. Let's talk about a dilemma facing children today. I would say primarily children under 12. There's a new phenomena. They are unfamiliar with flat water, and that's because most kids I know today only drink seltzer. They'll refuse to drink flat water. They don't just want seltzer, they want seltzer with a lot of bubbles. So for example, if you have a seltzer bottle, not a can, that's been open for longer than an hour, most kids won't touch it. It's got to be very bubbly. And so what happens is you have kids that are walking around, just about 30% of their body weight is just air from the bubbles they took in. And I've been with kids and they go to the ocean or they see it rain and they're asking questions like, where's the bubbles in the rain? What happened to the bubbles? And you have to explain to them, no, that's not the natural state of water. The natural state of water is flat. That's why at the beach, it's not carbonated. It's just regular salty water. So we must do flat water education for children. This is something we have to slowly introduce into their body before they just can't handle it anymore. And everything has to be completely carbonated. I have sophisticated friends. I have a sophisticated cousin. And I was just privy to the fact that some of my cousins have containers. And friends, I also have friends who have containers. Containers is something for very sophisticated people where you just have a group of people and it's contained. You want to go, you can't go in there because you're not in the container. So if you're my friend and you have a container, I would love to be invited into your container. I'm not going to stay in your container forever. I just want to check it out, see who else is in the container, see what's going on. But a container invitation would be very, very nice. I want to talk about something. And this is going to underscore the problems we have with technology, how they're really very evil companies, even though they come across as being very friendly and cool and hip. And that is, when you visit websites today, you will always get a pop-up that says, accept all cookies, reject all cookies. Now, cookies is just some form of web code that actually tracks the websites you visit. But they don't use that type of terminology. So when you visit a website, if you love food and you're in a Western society, everybody's going to want cookies. Cookies are a delicious thing. Of course, you're going to accept all cookies. But if the languaging was changed to something a little more direct, like, hey, do you accept, all spy code to track you around every move you make on the internet? Of course, more people would opt out on it. So if you're the FTC, yes, I understand companies are required to make those disclosures. The thing is, perhaps reevaluate the term cookies, which is way too friendly, especially for people with a sugar tooth. You visit a website, nobody is ever, no matter what, going to turn down cookies. We live in a world where AI is taking over. I'm just checking to see if this thing is actually recording. I really hope it is, because I'm putting some effort inside of this. So AI is the best. It's getting easier to do less and less. And people that you needed to hire before, you don't need them anymore. They're just people. The computer can do that much better than them, and the computer is not giving any attitude. And There's a lot of success stories that are coming out of these companies, but I want to share one great AI success story and show you how powerful and amazing AI is. So there's a company that does B2B software, business to business, and also called a SaaS, software as a service. There were 3,000 people, and they started to use AI a couple of months ago. So now there's one person in the customer support team that was familiar with AI. He says, wait a second, we don't need a team of 400 people doing customer support. We could probably cut our headcount by 95% or so. Just have a skeletal crew of about 20 people, let's say. And they can do everything because it's all agents and responses. And you can just teach the computer to do that based on the few people that are still around. So boom, they axed that department down to 20 people. How amazing is that for our country? Because work stresses people out, and now 480 people there don't have a job. Like, they have nothing to be stressed about. I'm sure they got severance. I'm sure the government has policies and stuff like that. Now, so this department is down to, let's say, 20 people. Now, somebody in the marketing department sees that, and he says, wait a second. We don't even need 20 people there. We can keep 2 people there, plus get rid of the entire finance department. Because let's face it, Claude or ChatGPT can do math. You just upload spreadsheets, you can connect it, you do a connector, you teach it some skills. So the marketing guy works to remove 18 out of the 20 remaining customer support people. So there's just 2 customer support people there. And then the finance department, which is like another 100 people, take it down to just basically the CFO. It's just the CFO now. Now, what ends up happening is somebody from the engineering department sees this. So now, let's say another 99 people are now left without, a way to make a living, but at the same time, they don't have to deal with that whole stress of commuting to work, remote work, whatever all that nonsense is, because the business can make more profit and it could be much more efficient. Now, what happens is, I think the CFO sees what's happening or sees what happens in his department, and he says, wait a second, the marketing guy came up with that idea. Who needs marketing? Fable, whatever, these tools can manage ad spend, which they absolutely do. My background is in marketing. A lot of it's automated. They can do the creative. Marketing is 300 people. All of them think that they're God's gift to the world and they know how to run this business. The truth is, we just need maybe 2 of the people that are there just to handle invoices from different vendors. So 298 marketing people are let go. You just have 2 marketing people. The marketing person who came up with this idea, and there was another nephew of the CEO who works in marketing. He wasn't doing anything to begin with. He's gone. At this point, you almost have 900 layoffs, but think of 900 people that have their entire lives ahead of them because they were in a redundant job to begin with. Now, one of the marketing department people, the 2 people left, says, we don't need anybody in the engineering department. What is engineering? They're doing coding. The computer can do much more coding. And this went on. And at the end of the day, if you're following, basically the company was just left with the CEO's nephew, who wasn't doing anything to begin with, one person in customer support who's just basically paying the AI bills, the usage bills, and the CEO, because he has to go on conference calls and it's a publicly traded stock. Even the About Us section of the website now shows a lot of people. It's just 3 people down from 3,000. Now, if that is not a win for this country, if that is not a win for this world, the 2,997 people doing things that computers can just replace them. They were sitting ducks anyways, like this. Let them go out, become a barber, find a skill, become a plumber. Do something else, lay bricks. But don't sit around in this AI world where the computer can do things a lot better. And that's why I'm so encouraged, and I think it's actually a boon for this economy, because again, you have people sitting in jobs that they've been miserable for years. Now a computer can do it, and now an end to their misery. I also want to say one more thing, and that is, one, I had a comedy coach. She said, never say you have one more thing left to say, just say that one thing. So first of all, I'm going to acknowledge that, and I apologize for saying that. Instagram is well aware that some people are stuck and addicted to their social feed. So they actually created something very cool. It's generating a lot of social media buzz, at least for the people in early beta, but I love the idea. So Instagram is a digital product. What they do is they will send you a life buoy, which is like one of those rings at the beach that lifeguards have. It has an Instagram logo on it. Now, if you see a spouse or a friend just trapped in doom scrolling through their Instagram feed, and it's taking hours and you're not getting a response and they're not going to the bathroom, they haven't shaved and they haven't eaten, what you do is you take this life ring, this life buoy, you put it over that family member and you pull them slowly back into safety. And it's a little cliche, but I'm glad that Instagram is aware of this. Mark Zuckerberg is aware of this. They're making light of the situation, but actually providing a very, very good solution. If you want to check it out, you can go to instagram.com/, I think it's life buoy or buoy, and see if you can get on a waiting list to get one of these. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my podcast. It's been a tremendous joy for me to be here. I love you so much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, to my Instagram, to my TikTok, and to all the other stuff that I'm on. Thank you. Talk to you soon.